Can I see, Grandma?
Yeah, as soon as we get your mom on here.
Hello everyone. I would like to know how much you all know about the flu vaccine. Every year we're solicited by doctors and pharmacies and the media telling us that we need to be vaccinated. And why? Why should we be vaccinated? I used to avoid being vaccinated until I started working in healthcare and it became a requirement of my employment. Again, how much do you know about the flu vaccine? Many patients tell me that they don't want to be vaccinated because they become sick when they get the flu vaccine and they get the flu anyways. So why get a vaccine to protect them? It's painful, and people still die from the flu. These are all common reactions that I hear from patients when we ask them if they want to be vaccinated. Back in 2014, when I was working in the hospital, I met a young woman. She was 35 years old, a mother to 2 young children, and I spent a month taking care of her every single day. She was sick for a week with the flu, and that developed into pneumonia. She wound up in the ICU and was there for a week before she came over to the cardiac progressive unit where I started taking care of her. When she came to us, she had 2 chest tubes, was on oxygen, and had a catheter. She couldn't sit up in bed, she was so weak. We celebrated every victory and milestone that she reached. The first time she was able to sit up in bed. The first time she could stand up. The first time she walked from her bed to her chair, which was 3 steps away. And after that, there were more victories. She was finally able to have her catheter removed because she was able to walk far enough to go to the bathroom. And slowly the chest tubes came out, first one and then the other. Eventually she was able to leave the hospital without oxygen. And when she left, a month after being on our floor, she hadn't seen her sons in over 6 weeks because she got the flu and she didn't want to be vaccinated. So, here's another question. What would you like to know about the flu vaccine? What don't you understand about it? The flu vaccine isn't for the stomach flu, as most people believe. It's to protect against 3 different strains of influenza, type A, type B, and type C. Now, according to the CDC, common symptoms of influenza are fever, chills, coughing, sore throat, runny nose, muscle or body aches, headache, fatigue, and occasionally vomiting or diarrhea, although this is more common in children. Now, to a lot of people that sounds like a cold, but with influenza, it becomes so severe that people aren't able to get out of bed and often die. Complications that can arise from influenza are pneumonia, and serious complications triggered can include inflammation of the heart, inflammation of the brain, or of the muscles and the tissues, and multi-organ failure, for example, respiratory and kidney failure. Flu virus of the respiratory tract can cause extreme inflammatory response in the body and can lead to sepsis, a life-threatening response to infection. It can also make chronic medical problems worse, such as asthma, causing people to have more asthma attacks, and this is all according to the CDC. Now here's some scary statistics for you. According to Medical News Today, children and elderly are at an increased risk of developing influenza vaccine and having complications because of their weakened immune systems. Approximately 5 to 20% of Americans will develop influenza this year alone in the United States. Globally, 250,000 to 500,000 people will die from influenza. Over 200,000 people in the US alone will be hospitalized from influenza, and of those, at least 36,000 are expected to die. There is no prevention for influenza other than to be vaccinated. So my last question is, do you know the difference between the flu and influenza? Go ahead. Show the three of you.
Show the three of us.
Yeah.
Here we are.